pivot now into some Marvel news. We have 2 segments now related to Marvel, which are very, very interesting. The first one we're going to talk about, though, is Shang-Chi box office. So Shang-Chi was not a day and date release. So what that means is that it was not released in theaters alongside Disney Plus Premier Access. It was an exclusive theatrical release, and the movie absolutely crushed this weekend. For the 3-day, which I believe includes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it made $75.5 million, which is a huge amount. I think for the holiday weekend, if you include Monday, you're pushing like 90 million. Okay, so it completely destroyed. Dre, what are your thoughts on this? What does this mean? This obviously, look, Chapek said this movie is an experiment. It was an experiment in regards to the theatrical windows, experiment in regards to day and date release. The movie comes out and it completely crushes. Does this change the game completely?
But before you answer that, Dre, hold on. I got some crow in the oven. I got to go get it out.
I see.
There you go. Get those oven mitts. Get those oven mitts.
Yeah, well, I don't even know if I commented on the opening week. I may have pegged it down a little bit. Look, it superseded expectations. The grand experiment worked, didn't it? It was successful. I don't think you can really take anything away from that. The trades are kind of playing it up a little bit. It's a little bit too much. Like they'll say, "Oh, the greatest Labor Day weekend ever." Oh yeah, and it's like, compared to Tenet. Okay, well that's not that's not a great comparison. Compared to Halloween. All right, well, adjusted for inflation, I'm not sure about that, but okay, it's all these things where it's like, all right, let's put this in perspective here, folks. But look, I mean, this is in the pandemic era, and it was extremely successful. It surpassed all expectations, like I said there, and I think now, obviously, maybe not be the fairest comparison in the world, but I mean, it's right up there with Black Widow. And while it is connected to the MCU, this is a far less established character. So I think it represents that there is a kind of a market in theaters. It's really going to come down to me 2 things. One is the legs. How to what degree do these legs kind of push it into the realm of profitability? Because now we know the numbers. Has a budget of 150 million. With marketing, maybe 225, maybe 250, it has to make, it's got to push like 3 times to kind of make a profit and stuff like that, or 2 times at least to make its money back. So it's got an uphill climb there, but hey, look, the weekend was successful. The other thing too, I will say, is what is it? Our buddy Hedge. We love Hedge.
Love you, buddy. We love you, Hedge. We love you, Hedge.
We always think about you, sir. He was saying, hey, look, he made a good point. This money made more money for the theaters.
Right.
This movie, this release. But Black Widow made more money for Disney.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of the, the two-sided coin here. But go ahead. What are your thoughts?
It is interesting. And look, it kind of mimicked a little bit, like you said, Dre, Black Widow. It was kind of comparable, at least, to Black Widow's release. And it's interesting because on one hand, I'm like, okay, well, Black Widow's established, though. So, you can't really compare it to this new character. And I agree with that. But I also kind of agree with the notion, the devil's advocate sort of approach, where, well, Black Widow, though, is kind of like 4 or 5 years too late for a lot of people. It's kind of going back in time when people kind of like are moved on already from the MCU, right? So it's kind of like, I almost feel like Shang-Chi kind of almost had an advantage over Black Widow in a lot of ways, because it was new MCU territory that we're kind of forging here, as opposed to retreading a character that really should have been handled years ago. With all that said and done, that the exclusive theatrical release of Shang-Chi and the day and date with Black Widow, they were pretty comparable. numbers wise. So I don't know. I'm kind of iffy, but like you said, Dre, it really does come down to that second weekend because Black Widow fell off the cliff in a bad way. If Shang-Chi has legs, I think that'll say a lot about the theatrical model because I think that's what's going to do it. I think it has to have a very small drop off next weekend and show the theatrical exclusive window has that longevity. You might get that big opening weekend with day and date, but it's going to drop off like crazy in second weekend. With theatrical, it won't.
Well, it's 45 days. So it's really kind of a question of, hey, is this too short? Does that kind of cannibalize the film in that way? Do you have a lot of people saying, I'm just going to wait 45? It's just 45, so I'm just going to wait it. That's going to be a lot of question and answering going forward. Go ahead, George.
Go ahead, George.
I actually agree to basically everything because it's basically a back and forth notion that they're opening up a brand new film that was being talked about, at the expo and everything. And, with this brand new Marvel character, we're finally getting something other than just the original, Avengers, a brand new story, and to open a film on a holiday weekend, yes, that's great. That's perfect. But you can't necessarily say we're out of the woods yet with that notion because you're only going by a holiday weekend. Me personally, it's, as you guys said, it's next weekend that's really going to show.
Yeah. Right.
And then by the third week, if it holds up, then you can basically say, okay, the tester was complete. And comparing it to Black Widow, I live close to my home theater. And when Black Widow came out, it was kind of a ghost town over there, to be honest with you. For Shang-Chi, yesterday, I couldn't believe it. The movie theater actually had a pulse again. After almost 2 years, it actually had a pulse. And everybody was going to see that movie. I mean, I seriously thought they were all going to see Paw Patrol. I mean, I just took my chances that it was, Shang-Chi. But they had 6 theaters going off with that movie. Every 30 minutes, the movie would start. So there was like synchronized time that if the movie started at 6:10, the next showing was starting at 6:40.
Wow.
So
go ahead.
No, you're fine. What was your question?
Oh, did we get a final runtime for that?
It was, I had it. Hold on. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, so I know they were really nervous about that because there were discussions going back and forth that it's like, damn it, we really want this under 2 hours because it really determines how many times, especially within peak windows for exhibitors, how many times you can run a movie and how many screens you have to dedicate to it. And I know that was kind of a point of contention going back and forth with Disney and the exhibitors, like, this is too long, that kind of thing. So it really is even astounding on that level that with its length and how many theaters you have to dedicate to get the capacity that you need to even generate these numbers, that they are as big as they are. So that is good. It like I said, it's really going to come down to, I mean, we're not out of the woods yet, guys. It's, a film like this, usually pre-pandemic, this should have been like $150 million opening weekend, not necessarily numbers that were posted right now. So we're not out of the woods yet. And at the same token, it's like this was really built to kind of appeal to the Chinese market, and China said no on this film, and it will not play there, and that kind of hurts it. It hurts it as well. So it's really going to be fascinating how this all plays out. I mean, this is just the kind of opening crescendo.